There were big performances. There were overtime games. There were injuries. Of course there were. Chet goes down. We'll talk all about that and all of the action from Sunday in today's episode of Listening to Michael Bolton.
Thanks, Josh. It's Michael Bolton here, and it's time for another episode of the Locked On Fantasy Basketball Podcast. Let's get to it.
Let's get to it, indeed.
You are Locked On Fantasy, your daily NBA fantasy podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello and welcome to the Locked On Fantasy Basketball Podcast brought to you by Basketball Monster. My name is Josh Lloyd, coming to you live from Melbourne. I'm also the lead fantasy analyst at basketballmonster.com, and you can find me on Twitter as always at redrock_bball, on TikTok at redrock_bball, and on Instagram at Locked On Fantasy Basketball. Today's episode is brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, use the code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off your first purchase. Also, give us a double bang. Let's hit that 80k mark on YouTube. Hit the sub, hit the thumb, double bang, audio and video, and leave your comments, of course, down below. We did a waiver wire show earlier today, so I'm not going to give you waiver wire trends, and I just think that we're just going to get straight into these 11 games. We'll bang those out right now. That would be I think it would be a pretty good way to start things off, wouldn't it? So let's do it. Let's go to the early game of the day, the first game of the day, because there were many early games of the day, and the first game was Houston getting over the top of Detroit, 101-99, the final score there. I think we'll start by talking about the big fella himself, Jabari Smith Jr. Is he the actual big fella? Probably not. That's more likely Alperen Şengün. But we got to really have a discussion about what we do with Jabari. In fact, no, maybe we don't. Maybe the discussion is just as simple as this.
Get that garbage out of here!
Because Smith was bad again, 26 minutes, 6 and 7 with a steal and a block and shot 25%. And as the famous meme goes that I'll probably misquote, look, what is it that you say that you do here, my guy? Because you're not that good. And Ime Udoka is moving away. So, yeah, we can drop Jabari Smith, I think. You don't have to, as always. If I jack somebody, you don't have to jack them. You don't have to drop them. It just means they're in that zone where it's like, if you want to move on, get rid of them. All right? It's okay. Tari Eason played 27 minutes. He had 18 and 9, and he had 2 threes. He had a steal and a block. Clear must-roster player. Men Thompson, a little bit more subdued, 8 and 5 in 23 minutes, but it does seem that Tari is taking over from Jabari. I don't know if that's exactly what is happening, but it is looking that way. Şengün had 27 and 10 with a block. Yeah, minutes a little bit annoying, but that's still solid game. While after a really hot start to the season, Jalen Green's been somewhat disappointing, I would say. Like 15, 5 and 3 with 2 steals and a block is not terrible. He shot poorly again. That is going to bump up, I'm sure. But that red-hot start has cooled off, and Fred VanVleet was also on a pretty hot streak. The last 3 games, he was shooting 65%. And then he shot 23 here. And somehow missed both his free throws. The rest of the line from Freddles, unbelievable. 7 rebounds, 7 assists, 3 steals, and a block. That's an amazing line. But 7 points. I know you're going to be frustrated. And if you don't have Fred VanVleet, the Fred VanVleet manager is going to be annoyed. There are overreactions every time. He's one of those guys that there's always an overreaction. So see what you can do. Maybe that person just gets so annoyed that you get him for no cost at all in a trade. It's possible. It might not happen, but people are annoyed. They do forget that he just had a massively strong week, but that's okay. That's where if you don't have him, you take advantage, and that's if you do have Fred VanVleet, you just settle down and relax. It's not good, but it was fine. Let's talk about the other side of the equation, because we got some panics in this side as well. With the Detroit Pistons, no Jalen Duren, so we got 33 minutes out of the big fella, the big galah, the flaming galah. Alf Stewart, 16 and 8, 1 steal, 2 blocks, 78%. As long as Duren's out, Stewart's worth doing. Well, he's not worth doing. Maybe he's worth doing at any point, but he's worth rostering at least during that point, while Cade Cunningham had 26, 8, and 9. And the thick Hogsman, 9 points. That's disappointing. He took 5 shots only and he missed some key free throws. Okay. But again, people are complaining about what Tobias Harris is giving them. What more do you want? 3 steals, 2 blocks, 8 rebounds. He's like a top 70, top 80 player this season. It's pretty okay to me. He's not far off. The shooting still got room to come up as well. Low usage game, but totally okay. We finally got a bad Jaden Ivey game, and this is an interesting thing with Ivey, right? 8 points on 27% sucks. No threes, no steals, no blocks, 7 rebounds, 2 assists, but it's a perfect encapsulation of what Ivey is as a fantasy player. He's not that good. Now, don't let me just make that very clear. Jaden Ivey is a must-roster player. But his overall fantasy profile is not robust like Fred VanVleet. Fred VanVleet can have a 27% shooting game and still be really good. Ivey doesn't do enough things in enough areas. And he's been really strong this season, Jaden Ivey. Like, he's had a really good year, you would say. Not a top 100 player. Despite having a really good run at things. because he lacks in so many different areas. And then when you have a bad game like this one, that really shows up. Still rostering him, clear must roster, but it's the difference between a very good fantasy player and a not so good fantasy player that when the shot isn't falling and you're not getting his big volume, that everything else starts to look way worse. And that's, there's a couple of guys like that at the moment. One of them is Benedict Mathurin, one of them is Grady Dick. That when the shots don't fall, what else is coming? What else are you doing? What else are you bringing? And that's that differentiation. Timmy Hardaway had 10 points with 2 threes, and Leaky Beasley had 15 and 4 threes. Why did I say it that way? But we know what they are. They're the guys that are just going to go back and forward and give you numbers occasionally, and pinning down which one is going to be the guy to do it each night is impossible. So we can stream him in, always lean towards the starter, but it's not always going to work that way. And I guess that's where we are with the old Detroit Pistons. Let's take it across now to the next game of the day. It was the Boston Celtics taking on the Milwaukee Bucks. We got Jaylen Brown back, and that meant that Xavier Tillman moved back to the bench. Let's talk about Brown's game. He played 37 minutes in his first game back. Didn't shoot well at all, 31%, but 14, 5, and 4, and just be happy that he's back. Just not a good game, but we're all good. 40 minutes for Tatum, 30 and 12 with 6 assists, and he also shot poorly, but was great at the free throw percentage stuff. He's been pretty strong this season, Jason Tatum. Derek White continued his strong run of things, and we actually got a really good Drew Holiday game. 15, 2, and 3 with 2 steals for Drew. That's sort of, I guess, the thing that you would have hoped we saw more of from Drew. It just hasn't happened that much. I still think that if we're talking points leagues, he is not a must-roster guy. Category leagues, it is borderline, but I also get if you don't want him. Peyton Pritchard, only 23 minutes because most of the starters played big minutes. And that was always the risk to me with Pritchard heading into the season. I thought, well, it's hard to find 25 a night. He's done it easily through absences or blowouts and that sort of stuff. But look, I'm not telling you he was bad. He had 18 points with 1 rebound. He hit 5 threes. He shot 60%. But if he doesn't shoot abnormally unbelievable like this, it's not a line that's worth mentioning. For now, Pritchard remains a 12-team league guy and probably will, maybe until Porzingis returns. But it's not quite House of Cardsy for what his foundation is built on, but there is some worry there that if they go through a stretch of tight games and he plays 22 a night, that maybe it's not going to be 12-team worthy. For now, we hold. Nemesh Keita still played 21 minutes despite Brown being back and Cornette being back. Cornette played only 6 minutes. Tillman played 14 seconds, and Keita had 8 and 7 with a steal. And the Celtics' next games, Tuesday, Wednesday, back-to-back. So Horford's sitting one of them. So you're going to get a big boost for Nemesh Keita there, so who's probably going to be worth holding at least to see what happens through those games, I would suggest. On the other side of this equation, it is Glenn Rivers' own Milwaukee Bucks. They lose at 113-107. Don't know if I said the score. Yanni played 39 minutes. He had 43, 13, and 5 and 2 blocks. His blocks have been pretty down this season, but that is an absolutely monster game. He was 62% from the field as well. Usage absolutely gigantic. 29 shot attempts for Giannis plus 10 free throws. That's a 41 usage. While Lillard took a step back, 14, 4, and 6 with 3 steals and shot horribly. Probably the interesting thing here is that they started Andre Jackson. Again, he played 23 minutes for 1 point. Missed all 3 of his shots. He is a horrible, horrible offensive player. I would be treating him like a steal streamer, not a 12-team league guy. Bobby Portis was fine, but I actually do think that we need to be worried about Brook Lopez. This happened, honestly, for most of last season. He was bad at the start of the year, had a strong 2-week run. Glenn Rivers came in, and it hasn't been good. And I wouldn't say it's been good here necessarily. 6 points, 29 minutes. He blocked 3 shots. But I don't think, and fair enough, at his age, I don't think we're getting the old elite level Brook Lopez back really this season. I'd be pretty surprised if we do, to be honest. I think he might just have tipped over. AJ Green, 27 minutes with 12 points and 4 threes. Now, he had 3 steals as well, which is a little fluky, but it does help that Gary Trent was out. He's a deeper league look here guy, sort of. I don't know what that sentence was, but Green's a guy we can look at in those deeper formats to get you some threes and streams, but not much more than that. Not a lot else going on here in this one, I don't think. The artist formerly known as Taurean Prince played 38 minutes. He had 9 points with 3 threes and 2 steals. I firmly believe that he will lose minutes when Chris Middleton comes back, but Darvin Ham will be campaigning. He is an old campaigner. He will be definitely putting his 2 bobs worth in there to see that Taurean gets more minutes. We don't care in most fantasy leagues, but just, it'll be funny. If anything, it's just going to be funny if that's actually what happens. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel Sportsbook. Get ready to tackle all of the NFL action with FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook, because right now new customers will get $150 in bonus bets if you win that first $5 bet. You know that you get a hunch, you're watching an NFL game, you want to place a live NFL bet. And you open up the FanDuel Sportsbook app, and everything that you need is just placed in that one spot. Instead of having to find and dig and search for live stats or live play-by-play, the place where you place the live bets, the FanDuel Sportsbook app, has all that information right at your little fingertips. So when you're wanting to place that live bet, go to FanDuel.com and join today and get started with $150 in bonus bets if you win your first $5 bet. That is FanDuel.com. Never waste a hunch and make every moment more with FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NFL. And don't forget to gamble responsibly. Okay. Let's move on to the next game. Which game is the next one? We're talking about the third game of the day. Oh yeah, it's the old New York Knickerbockers up against the Indiana Pacers. And the Knicks, yeah. There are a lot of people that were frothing the Knicks in the offseason. I'm not to say that they're going to necessarily be bad or terrible, but they're going to challenge the Celtics. They might be the one seed in the East. I don't think so. 132 to 121 they lose here to the Pacers, and I would say there are some concerns about the Knicks. The lack of depth is a real problem, and if they cop one injury now to their starting group, I think that we might have to use the word rooted. I think they're in real strife. Let's talk about what happened. And we had Jalen Brunson on the Buy Low show the other day and said he just needs something to sort of start to click. Bit of a usage bump, an assist rate bump, a field goal percentage bump, and then he had 33, 6, and 10 here. Still no defense, which is annoying, but shot 65%. A really good boost game here that we actually did need. OG Anunoby's on a real offensive hot streak. 25, 4, and 2 with 2 steals, but this is not necessarily something that will always happen, but this has been a pattern. Mikal Bridges plays well. OG doesn't. OG steps up. Mikal Bridges steps back. I don't think they can both do it at the same time. OG was great. Bridges had 8 points on 36% shooting with 4 assists, no threes, no steals. And after a solid start to the year, outside of the opening night, Bridges has been bad. Outside the top 125 over the last 5 games, barely a top 100 player this season. A very clear bust. I thought that was obvious at the time when he was being drafted in the 50s. I think he'll be better than this. Just to be clear, I think he's going to be improving from here, but it's not great. Towns had 30 and 9. Not a lot else going on there, and that's one of the few games that he didn't get double-digit rebounds. Well, Josh the Hitman Hart, 16, 10, and 6 steal and a block. Good numbers for him. We got usable minutes from Juice McBride. 42 of them. That's Mikal Bridges. 29 for Juice. 7 points, 1 rebound, 2 steals. He had that awesome opening night as well. The minutes are there, right? And if you're in a situation where it's not quite a 12-team league player, but if Brunson, Bridges, Anunoby, Hart go down, this man's playing 38 minutes a night and being a must-roster player. So it's one of those ones where he's not quite a 12-team league guy, but the upside to be a top 90 player, top 70 player is gigantic, and it takes one player to go down. So I'm not going to issue a full must-roster situation for Juice, but it's not a bad idea. It's not a bad idea because the value it's not like he's giving you zeros. He's giving you okay numbers with the potential for sky-high ones if someone goes down, which, given the way that Master Thibodeau gives us those rotations, that, maybe that happens. Who knows? The Pacers side of things. We got the update from them that Aaron Nesmith is going to be out until December, and Andrew Nembhard is out for a few more weeks. Obviously, we're not rostering either of those guys. They should have been dropped weeks ago in 12-team leagues anyway, but if you are holding on, just don't. They're not playing. You don't need to hold them. You can move on really, really comfortably and not lose any sleep over it, I'm guessing. But what that means is bigger opportunities for Benedict Mathurin, who cooked here in a big way. 41 minutes, 38 and 8 with 7 threes. He shot 72% and 83 from the line. He also blocked a shot, but I will issue this on Mathurin. There is a real chance that with how well he is playing, and it's been awesome, that he can hold this starting job when Nembhard or Nesmith return. I think that's a distinct possibility, but it's a large sell high. He shot 72% here. He hit 7 threes. His 2-point percentage is I think it's 9 percentage points up on where it was last season at about 58 or 59. His 3-point percentage is way up as well. His free throw rate is sky high. And it's always high, but it's even sky higher. And a lot of people don't look at those things. They just go, 38 points, it's a lot of points. And they love it. 7 threes, that's a lot of threes. And they love that as well. Right? But the underlying stuff behind it suggests to me that there is zero shot of this holding. And it could be an STP LTG situation where you might move off of him now. He has this huge value while these guys are out. And then as they come back, maybe his shooting regresses at the same time. And he goes from a guy that's cooking as a top 40 player. He is a top 40 player of the last 5 games. And is 170th after that. That's possible. Definitely roster him. Have to roster him. Love it. Write it out if you want. That is totally cool. But it doesn't get hotter than this. Unless you're talking about me. Hey. Jarris Walker got some extra minutes, but look who was out. There was no Nembhard, Neesmith, or Toppin. 27 minutes, 6 points, 2 steals, 2 threes. That's fine. He shot 22% though. Deeper league sort of a player. Well, Ben Shepherd died again in a start. Just terrible. 4 points, 22 minutes. His 2 starts have been useless. That is a deeper league scenario only while TJ McConnell returned from his illness and did nothing. Siakam was fine without being good, and Miles Turner, we're getting a lot of Miles Turner, man. 39 minutes, 26 and 6, 5 threes, 1 steal, 2 blocks. We've been annoyed at the way that his minutes have gone for a long time, but we're getting it now, and they don't really have another choice to go in a different direction. Let's go across to the next game. It was the Orlando Magic beating the Washington Wizards 121-94. Let's start on the Wizards side of this ledger. They made a change to their starting lineup. Keyshawn George was back and Jonas Valanciunas was back on the bench, and Jonas only played 18 minutes here, which is not enough. He'd been playing 23 or 24 off the bench anyway, so this is a blip. We will hold for now, but if it sticks at 18, then get him out of here. He had 8 and 3 with a block. He shot 100% in this game, which is obviously awesome, and you can't be any better than that, but the minutes are troubling. As for Keyshawn, 15 and 7, 4 threes, 1 steal, absolute must-roster player. And Bilal, after a little bit of a down stretch of games, Bilal had 20 points in 37 minutes, 6 rebounds, 6 assists, 1 steal, and 3 blocks. And if you think I'm hating on Bilal with this next comment, keep it to yourself, because I'm not. But what I want to just point out is that nearly every time that Bilal has a huge game, and it's great again, we go, man, that is awesome. And it is. It comes on 80% shooting, or 75% shooting. Now, he shot 82% here. And then we see there are games when the shot doesn't go in, he takes 4 shots and he has 7, 4, and 2, which is not great. He is a very, very clear must-roster player. The minutes are there. His development's been awesome. He's having huge games. But it is annoying to see that the big games seem to come, a lot of the time, through ridiculous shooting nights. Yep. Cool. Not hating. Alex Sarr played only 25 minutes. He's a clear must-roster player. 11 and 4, 2 threes, 1 steal, 2 blocks. Didn't shoot well. I think that, I reckon we might have a top 50 run at things for him second half of the season. Bubbles Carrington, that's not good. 4 points for him in 31 minutes. He had 3 assists and no other goodies. They play again tomorrow, and he left this game after a hard fall, crashing into Mo Wagner, and they play tomorrow. I would be a little cautious, though that usage is very low. The other stats are quite poor. We hold for now, but not ideal. The other one there, of course, is Jordan Poole, who started out poorly, got some foul trouble. But when you're having a bad night, and you get into foul trouble, and then you still respond with 24, 4, and 1 with 3 threes, I'm pretty good with that. The assists are annoying. They're a bit low. But obviously, he's been great. He's cooled off since the start of the season, understandably. But you couldn't have asked for really anything more here, I don't think, from Jordan Poole than what he's given you. It's been awesome. The Orlando Magic side of this equation, still obviously no Paolo, and Wendell Carter remains out. I just don't know when Wendell will return. But until he does, we roster Goga Bitadze. 10 and 12 with a block in 22 minutes. Now, we did a very similar dance last season. If you added Goga onto your fantasy lineups, you'll be out here saying, oh my God, what is wrong with the Magic? Goga's the best player. He should start all the way through. And I'm not even going to tell you that you're right or wrong, because I don't know. I don't know who the best player is necessarily. It's very hard to make definitive calls on that sort of thing. Whatever, it doesn't really matter. It also doesn't matter whether you believe it either. It matters whether Jacques Vaughn believes it. And last season, Goga was really good as a starting center. And then Carter came back, and Goga was the third stringer and got DMP'd. I don't know if that'll happen again, but we literally have evidence that it did happen last time under exactly the same circumstances. Goga didn't remain starting. Goga didn't move to be the backup. Goga moved to the bench and sat there and twirled his mustache. He didn't do anything else. So, for now, you ride Goga. Maybe something changes. Maybe it doesn't. It doesn't matter if you think he's better or not, it matters what Jacques Vaughn thinks. Franz Wagner, the man that can't shoot, continues to shoot well. 23, 4, and 7 with a steal on 45%. While Mr. Black had a pretty good game. 12 points for Anthony Black in 22 minutes with 4 assists and shot 67%. Now, I don't care that much about it. He's an interesting stream guy. The 2 blocks are really good out of position. He's a streamish sort of a player, not a must-roster guy. It helps when you play the Wizards, obviously. But, there's just not enough happening on a regular basis. And the same goes with Tristan da Silva. Aravinda had 11 points with 2 threes and 2 steals here. He shot 44%. The minutes are there, but the production's not. I would rather stream Black than da Silva, but we're talking about 14 or even 18 team league guys in terms of da Silva there. KCP went back to doing nothing, 8, 5, 3 for him, while Mo Wagner had 16 in 23 minutes. And we'll talk about Jalen Suggs now. 5 points in 18 minutes. Now, a cursory look at this box score would say, oh my God, is Cole Anthony taking over from Jalen Suggs? 16 points, 15 minutes for Cole. Suggs had 5 points in 18. What's going on here? Let me tell you what's going on. I think he had 3 fouls in 7 minutes, ended with 4 fouls, and was in extreme foul trouble, and the game was a blowout. Now, Jalen Suggs did not shoot well, 25%, but don't worry. We've played this game already. Remember back to October the 23rd? The beginning of this NBA season? Jalen Suggs' first 2 games were played with blowouts and foul trouble, and he didn't play. And then he was absolutely cooked after that. Cole Anthony was great. 16 points in 15 minutes. 12 of those minutes were the entire blowout fourth quarter in the garbage time unit. The same as the 12 minutes he got the game before in the garbage time unit against the Pelicans. So while he's shooting and scoring really well, 8 free throws in a quarter is unbelievable. It's coming when the game is out of hand. It's done. Now, should Cole Anthony be playing? Yeah, I actually think he's a pretty good player. But these 2 performances from Cole, the last 2 games, they've been fourth quarter in blowouts. And it's not an indication that Suggs is losing time or someone else is coming in or anything like that. They should play him, but don't overreact too much to it, I don't think. I don't think there's anything super predictable, or maybe predictive is a better word that I'm looking for in this instance. Today's episode is brought to you by the Game Time app. Game Time Picks is the new feature on Game Time. Of course it is. They are there telling you what the good tickets are, saving you time and money by filtering out the fluff, cutting through the nonsense to show you the good options at the ticket site. Game Time already had a million different other good options. Of course, the seat views, the panoramic view from the seat that you're looking at in the app before you buy, the lowest price guarantee where Game Time credits you 110% of the difference, the ticket coverage, the best and most flexible customer service policy in the ticketing industry, job loss protection, event cancellation protection, and the all-in pricing, a feature you toggle on in the app, which shows you all of the costs straight up instead of waiting until checkout. So, when you are looking to get your tickets, take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time Picks. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use the code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create the account. Use the code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off. Download Game Time today. What time is it? Game time. All right, that will bring us now into the next game, and this is one that has a little bit more probably overall intrigue, I guess, because we're talking about the Golden State Warriors and the Oklahoma City Thunder. The Warriors made a change to their starting lineup, and I wish sometimes I can try to make jokes on this show, and sometimes I hit good ones, funny ones, but I wish this was a joke. All right, Steve Kerr decided that he was going to start DeAnthony Melton after starting Gary Payton and starting Moses Moody, after telling us on opening night that this was the starting lineup he was going to start all season, right? So that happened. And DeAnthony Melton started, replaced Gary Payton II, which of course makes sense because Gary Payton's not good and DeAnthony Melton is. Very obvious. They win this one 127-116. And then, proud as punch, post-game, Steve Kerr comes out and is like, yep, this is going to be our starting lineup. We're going to do this moving forward for the foreseeable future. He didn't say foreseeable future, I don't think. I didn't hear that exact quote in there. But we are, 10 games into the season? And you've said this twice for 2 different starting lineups. I apologize to the man, who I actually think is a great man, great coach. I'm not going to believe you. I'm just not. It's just not going to happen. I'm so sorry. It will not happen. About 10 times last season, exaggeration. At least 3 times he said this last season, and we had 10 games in, and you've said it twice for 2 different lineups already. So I'm not going to hold my breath waiting for this to be the starting lineup of every game. DeAnthony Melton was great, though. He is a good player, obviously. The back, hopefully it sticks. 27 minutes, 19 and 10, 5 threes, 3 steals. Yeah, if DeAnthony Melton's available, going at him. You don't want to leave DeAnthony Melton at 27 minutes on the waiver wire. He's also not going to be this good on most nights, but he's not going to get 10 rebounds. And this is also a very weird game because Chet Holmgren, on the other side, we'll talk about in a second, got injured after 5 minutes. And after that, the Warriors said, all right, we're not playing centers anymore. We're not. Chase Jackson-Davis played 5 minutes. Kevin Huerter played 0 minutes. That's not going to be the case every night. So minutes are going to come back in to other players because they're not going to play teams with no center that run 6'5" guys all over the shop in every game. So Jackson-Davis's 5 minutes will go to 18, maybe it goes to 22. Kevon Looney will go from 7 to 10 or to 12 or whatever. And yeah, there's some other guys that can lose some playing time, but none of this stuff guarantees anything. Brandon Podziemski played 15 minutes in this game. He went scoreless. He missed both of his shots. Is that going to be realistic? Will he play 15 minutes every night? Almost certainly not. But you can jack him.
Get that garbage out of here.
John Kuminga had 20 points. That's really good. He played 73. He shot 73%. He played 26 minutes. Is that reliable? Absolutely not. The hottest man in the world, the best player in the league, Buddy Hield, had 8 points in 21 minutes. He shot 38%. Hang on. I need to. Is that right? What? He shot only 38%. But I was told he's one of the best 10 players in the league. And if you think that I'm joking about that, Hoops Hype puts out this insane global rating system. Buddy Hield, the 10th best player in the NBA this season. No, he wasn't. He never was. Scrap your system. It's terrible, and it's never explained. Sorry, Hoops Hype, you're copping strays. It's not a stray. It's actually directed straight at you. Buddy Hield's not that guy. Ever. I've seen Buddy Hield play for years and years and years and years, and he needs 33 minutes a night with solid usage to be a passable fantasy player. And he's not getting those things on this team. I'm not saying you can drop Buddy Hield, but I'm also pretty confident he's not going to be a top 100 guy. Very confident. Andy Wiggins, 35 minutes. I think he played 25 last game. 18, 8, and 5, 3 steals and a block. It's an amazing game apart from the shooting. But do I trust it? Of course I don't. Well, Steph Curry had 36, 5, and 7, and 7 threes. That feels a little bit more trustworthy. Gary Payton played 12 useless minutes. Moses Moody had 11 minutes. Don't think that just because Steve Kerr said that this is the starting lineup moving forward, that anything about this rotation or anything about these minutes or anything about this game at all is replicable. You will not play another game against a team where there are 4 minutes of center against you. It will not happen. I feel good about saying, well, I won't say it will not happen. I will tell you with very, very high level of confidence that the Warriors will not play another game against a team where the other team plays 4 minutes of center minutes. The chances of that happening are so incredibly small. So the rotation plan that Steve Kerr used here, despite what he said after the game, is just not going to happen. Easy. Add DeAnthony Melton still. Add him. Right? Add him. But don't be surprised when things change over fast. That's what he does. Good for him. Now let's talk Chet. Like I said, Chet left this game 5 minutes in. Went up to contest a dunk. I don't actually remember who it was, sorry. But sort of got knocked in midair, landed on his hip. Had to be really helped off the court, limping a lot. They said it's a hip injury. They don't have centers, clearly. They just went really, really small in this game because they don't have any centers. They don't have anyone to play. What we got was a lot more minutes from Cason Wallace. I think Aaron Wiggins played 15 minutes in the first half and then 3 for the rest of the game. We got 15 Dylan Jones minutes, 11 Usman Jeng minutes, 23 Isaiah Joe minutes. I distracted myself there. I don't even know that Chet misses any time, honestly. It was a hard fall. It looked really painful. You're up that high. You're landing straight on your bony, pointy hip. And it's going to hurt, right? It's going to sting. It's going to make it hard to walk. Manuel quickly suffered a bruised pelvis, a bone contusion in his pelvis. I'm not sure that's going to be the same thing here. It may or may not. That could have really caused a problem. I know, personally, I'm not Chet Holmgren, but, I am a tallish white guy, so maybe there's an application here. There's not. But when I was skiing ages ago, similar thing. I wasn't trying to block a shot skiing. That's not how that game works. But I did fall, smashed straight down onto my hip like that, and that bloody hurt, right? I found out because I just couldn't walk or run without pain or sleep without pain. Like 2 years later, you've actually got a tear in your hip labrum. Had to have surgery on it. Caused by that, and there was bony outgrowth. There was all this stuff going on, right? I'm not saying that happened to Chet, but there is outside possibilities that something more has happened there. I don't think that it has. I actually think that any absence here will be marginally and will be pretty small. But I also just have no idea. When we're looking at all of this, though, like, do you rush to grab Case and Wallace? I don't think so. Do you rush to grab Aaron Wiggins? Also, I don't think so. Do you rush to grab Isaiah Joe or Alex Caruso or Usman Jeng or Dylan Jones? I don't think so. I think it's going to be another one of these ones where, again, Aaron Wiggins had, I think, 15 first half minutes and had 9 points in 18 minutes to end the game. That's not enough. Joe's not enough. Mitchell's not enough. Wallace, maybe, but 16-2-0. Usually is a steals guy, and he played extra minutes. But I think it's just going to be nasty. It's going to be all over the place if Chet misses any time at all. I am not certain that I would prioritize adding anyone here. If I had to do it, it would be Wiggins or Wallace, and I don't feel confident about it at all. If I'm in a deeper league, maybe it's Dylan Jones, but again, I'm not really even sure that he misses any time. Like, in saying all of that, though, the Thunder do play tomorrow on Monday, so it would be surprising that Chet played. So I guess, when I'm saying I'm not sure he misses much time or any games at all, he probably misses tomorrow. And if it wasn't a back-to-back, I still don't know. There's still no information at this point, and I will check back in at the end of the show to see if there's been any more updates on Chet. But look, I guess the expectation is he doesn't play tomorrow, and then we're potlucking a stream of Wallace or Wiggins or deeper leagues Jeng and Jones and Joe, and they don't have center options. They just don't, which is annoying because the other three guys, Hartenstein, Jalen Williams, and Kenrich Williams, are all injured, so they might have four centers on their roster all hurt. That is it's bad. Honestly, that's just bad luck. The next game went to overtime. What a cracker. The Sixers beat the Hornets 107-105. The Hornets trotted out the same starting lineup that we got for them last time with the absences of all their big men as well. Well, not all of them, because Taj Gibson remains starting. He got into some extreme foul trouble here. 13 minutes for him. 3 and 6 with a block. Josh Green played a little bit more. Did it really matter? At least he had the reverse, well, not the reverse, the bad Richie Beno. 2 points, 2 rebounds, and 2 assists. He's doing nothing. And speaking of doing nothing, this was an absolute stinker from Trey Mann. It's terrible. 16 minutes, 5 points, 17%. He didn't play well. I'm not going to sugarcoat and tell you he played well because he didn't. But that sort of playing time, if that's the downside of his playing time, that makes it hard to hold. And in fact, I think that we are totally okay with dropping Trey Mann now. Totally okay.
Get that garbage out of here.
LaMelo played 41 minutes in overtime, 38, 4 and 8, 2 steals, 6 threes, continues to just absolutely dominate. And Brandon Miller also very, very good. A really good opportunity with no Miles Bridges here for both of these guys not really LaMelo, but to Miller to really establish himself as number 2. 22, 7 and 2, 2 steals and a block. He can show them all who number 2 works for. Grant Williams, wow, okay. 17 and 4 in 38 minutes for Grant. 2 threes, 2 steals, 3 blocks. That is easily like a top 50 line. He's a 12-team option. The Hornets have got a weird 3-day break in the middle of this week. But otherwise, I think he might be a 12-team league guy for now. Cody Martin this is Cody Martin as well. 7, 6, and 5 with 2 steals. That's what he does. That's good enough to at least be streamed. And then for the second consecutive game, Moussa Diabate provided double-digit rebounds. 4 and 11 for Diabate. And in deeper leagues, that actually does work. Tijan Salan just cannot shoot at all. 2 points, 20%. He had 9 rebounds. He's starting for Bridges and he played 19 minutes. That has to be one of the deepest league situations that you're looking at and not much more. I tell you what is interesting, though. We talked about it on the Sunday preview show yesterday. The Sixers ran the same lineup, by the way. But I said, just keep an eye here on what Jared McCain is doing. He's ahead of Reggie Jackson, and he got big minutes the game before, and he got big minutes again here. And he was great. 30 minutes for Jared McCain, 31 minutes. 27 points, 3 threes, 57%. Now, part of his, I guess, lack of fantasy appeal coming out of Duke was that he didn't do anything apart from shoot and score. He was a point guard who got no assists. And that's sort of what we're seeing here. But there is a big opportunity for him. The problem now is that next game, Joel Embiid will play. And if Joel Embiid is playing in the next game, that means that usage, which McCain is thriving on at the moment, he had a insane usage in this game, will not be as easy to come by. I think that, and Tuesday's got 8 games on, so he's streamable. Kyle Lowry still got his 33 minutes at 8, 4, and 5 with a steal and a block, which is absolutely 12-team usable for the right situation. And McCain's at least in that 14-team discussion, but because he relies heavily on usage, I'm not sure I'm not sure that he's going to be an absolute must grab, and it could end as soon as Tuesday. Although, Wednesday, back-to-back, Embiid won't play. The second half of this game, Gershon Yabusele started over Andre Drummond. Now, I think largely the Hornets have no centers, so they're running Diabate and Gibson, so that made a little bit of sense. But Drummond's also been not that good. He was fine here, 13 and 10, but Yabusele was better, 20 and 8 in 31 minutes. But it doesn't matter because next game Embiid is back. And you don't add Yabusele even on Wednesday when there's 11 games on. I don't think it's going to mean anything. But I said this on, who knows, a show. I said that I wouldn't be shocked that there are some games where Yabusele is Embiid's backup and not Drummond. Wouldn't be surprised about that. I don't think you need to hold Drummond, and I'm very, very confident that you do not need to hold the prettiest man but worst basketball player in the NBA, Kelly Oubre.
Get that garbage out of here.
8, 5, and 3 in 32 minutes. He has had everything served up to him to have a really good fantasy run. No Embiid, no Maxey, no Paul George, and he's 194th. He had 8, 5, and 3 in 32 minutes, and after him looking good for periods of last season, trying to prove me wrong when I said he's bad, maybe he is just actually bad. Caleb Martin did a Cody Martin. That makes sense because they share DNA. 5, 5, and 3 with 4 steals for Caleb. I think he had those 4 steals in the first quarter. He played a huge amount of minutes. He is only a stream guy. And you stream him Tuesday, Wednesday, no worries. Lower volume there at least on Tuesday, but not much more than that. While Paul George hit his minutes limit of 33, didn't play much in overtime, if at all. Had 9 assists, 2 steals, 15 points. It's been an inauspicious start for Paul George. I would be buying very low. Paul George has a very, what's the thing? Q rating? He's got a very bad Q rating. Maybe he's got a high hate rating where people hate him. They hate him. People hate Paul George. So after a poor start here, and it's been poor, I think you're going to be able to get him at a sizable discount, would be my guess, if you're looking to trade for Paul George in a fantasy league. Maybe it doesn't work out, but I think the discount that we might get here should be enough. All right. Let's talk about the next one. Miami and Minnesota. There was no Jimmy Butler. And Eric Spoelstra said, all right, let's do this. Kevin Love, for his first action of the season, he started. Okay. The man that's been almost exclusively a center the last 2 years played as a starting power forward, and that meant Little Chungus moved to the bench, Nikola Jokic. And to replace Jimmy Butler, it wasn't Jaime Jaquez, it was Haywood Highsmith. They win this game 95-94. Miami do. Tyler Hero, and I say this unironically, Tyler Hero has been the Heat's best player this season. I'm not saying that he is their best player or he will continue to be, but he has been their best player. And he was a guy going in the 70s, 80s of drafts. We sort of know what he is, and I was guilty of that. I said that as well. Maybe we didn't know what he was. He's been unbelievably good. The player who hasn't been unbelievably good is Terry Rozier. Now, he had 3 steals and a block here, which helped, but 11 points, doesn't take shots, had 1 assist. We are extraordinarily close to jacking this guy. And in 10s, I think you'd feel okay about moving on. Little Chungus moved to the bench and had a better game. 23 minutes for Nikola Jokic, 15 and 7 and a steal. Solid. Don't care. Deeper league stuff only. Well, Highsmith had a huge defensive game. 5 steals and a block, 33 minutes, 7 points. The steals are interesting. I don't trust the minutes. I don't trust the role. I don't trust the production at all. I don't think we need to use him, but it is eye-opening. Speaking of eye-opening, how does Bam Adebayo, in the last week, as a center, have 2 games shooting under 30%? What's happening with this man? 9, 7, and 7, 1 steal, 3 blocks. And he can't hit his free throws now. It has been a very, very weird season. Let's talk about Kevin Love, when if I had been actually better at my job, I would have talked about him when I said that he was starting. He had 6 points in 13 minutes. I mean, cool. 6 and 6 is great for Kev, and you can extrapolate that out to 30 minutes and go, that's a 16 and 16 double-double. We love that. And I don't know if those calculations are correct. They're probably not. But it doesn't matter because he's never playing those minutes. So this is a nice little oddity, and I think we can not worry about it. And then in the opportunity we get, without Jimmy Butler, Jaime Jaquez has 7 points in 16 minutes. Now, they said that they were going to be limiting his minutes coming off cholera or whatever gastrointestinal disease he had. And maybe I shouldn't joke. Maybe he honestly did have cholera, because what has knocked him around this much? Jaquez has had a terrible start to this season, I would say. I think there'll be a lot of people who would want to walk back some of their takes from the first 2 months of last season about Jaquez. He's fine. He is a role player, and he's been a bad one this season. I think that we do not have to roster him in 12-team leagues. There might be times when he's better. They'd bloody want him to have times when he's better than this, to be honest. But for now, what are we holding for? Josh Richardson and Duncan Robinson tried to see and compete with each other to see who could do the least. I'd say Richardson won. He had 2 and 4 with nothing else. That's probably about it for Miami. Disappointing loss for the Minnesota Timberwolves. You would think that they'd feel they could get up against a Heat team without Jimmy Butler, but they could not. The Big Ragu played 29 minutes, and he had really good steal numbers. 4 steals for DiVincenzo. The rest of the stuff a little bit bad, though. 8, 6, 2, 33%. He continues to be marginally underwhelming, I would say. Well, that depends on your initial expectation. I think he's probably been about spot on for what I expected, but if you were thinking a lot better than this, well, it has been disappointing. We hold him as a back-end player. Anthony Edwards, who turned in a masterclass 2 days ago, was it? Yeah, 2 days ago, had 22 points on 33% with 6 assists and 2 steals, didn't block a shot, and continues to be underwhelming from a fantasy perspective. That is, again, not fair. He's like a second-round player this season. If you took him in the first round, you'd be disappointed. If you took him in the second, I think you're feeling all right about it. Naz Reid, 23 minutes only, 15, 3 and 2. 46%. I think the hype on this guy remains too high. You know that. I've said it a million times. I hear some wild things about this guy. Like, wild. I don't know what it is. What am I missing with Naz Reid? What is it that I'm missing? Right. Because there's going to be someone who is a giant Nas stan that's in the comments here of this video or on Twitter that's listening to this, and what am I missing? Because I hear things like, he was actually their best defender on Jokic in the playoffs. Oh, he's a way better player offensively than Karl Anthony Towns. He actually defends better than Gobert, so I'm not sure what we're doing here. He's going to get $30 million a year as a starting center next season. Like, what am I missing? Because I don't think any of those things are true. And, he scored well. 15 points is fine. But, yeah, come on. Julius Randle. One of his worst games for Minnesota, I'd say. 17, 6 and 6 on some bad shooting. They shot horribly as a team, under 40% from the field and under 30% from 3. That's largely why they lost, let's be fair. Not much else going on there. Gobert had 7 points with 2 blocks and 13 rebounds. That's a relatively stock standard Gobert game. Just checking in on Jaden McDaniels. Did he do anything? No, he didn't. 9 and 6. And Mike Conley had 4, 5 and 3 with 3 steals. The 3 steals are nice, but honestly, we do not need to roster Mike Conley.
Get that garbage out of here.
You absolutely can roster Mike Conley if that's what you choose. You can, but you don't have to because the minutes are just too low. The production's not large enough to mandate a must-roster tag. Let's go on to another overtime game. The Kings and the Suns. The Kings win at 127-118 in the end. We got an injury in this one. Malik Monk sprained his ankle 8 minutes in, had 4 points. They play tomorrow, so I would guess he misses that one. No update on that. But what did happen is that Pants went off. And we've seen this before with Kevin Huerter. Get in now. 35 minutes, 17, 7 and 4, 3 steals, block, 5 threes. With Monk out, with Huerter on a hot streak, he will have a few games here. And then you bail later on. A tale as old as time. Get in now. Keon Ellis also played more minutes, and they're going to have to do that. Unless they decide to go back to Doug McDermott. Keon Ellis had 6 points, he had a steal and a block, but you know what you're doing. If you're rostering Keon Ellis, it's because you want to get steals and blocks. Nothing else, you'll get steals and blocks. But this is an opportunity for his minutes to rise. DeMar DeRozan had 34, 3 and 3. A lot of shots for DeRozan, man. We sort of worried about what would happen or who would take a backseat or whatever. I thought DeRozan would take more of a backseat. He hasn't. It's been Sabonis at times and it's been Fox. Sabonis, 20 and 12, 39 minutes. Cool. Fox, 20, 11 and 8 with no other stats. Not ideal. It's still sort of figuring it out, I guess. And Keegan Murray had a nice double-double, 14 and 14. And Murray has been sort of about where I thought he would be, around that 100 mark, 90 mark, rather than the 70 mark. Because it's just hard to do that when everyone on your team is touching the ball. All these guys obviously got a boost here by playing 5 extra minutes. And even for the season, these guys are playing so many minutes. You do worry for a team that's had incredible injury like the last 2 years that this extra load that Mike Brown is putting on them, it's a little bit of that, I don't know if it's a logical fallacy, a gambler's fallacy, whatever it is. Of like, well, they were able to stay healthy at 35 minutes a night, so therefore they can when they play 38. Which is really not how that works. But we'll see what happens. We hope that nothing happens, knock on wood. Not much else going on that side, but it is a really interesting Pants game, and he usually strings together a few of these in a row, add in the Malik Monk scenario, and that really does help. On the Phoenix side, first game here without Kevin Durant, and they started Ryan Dunn. Let's start with him. He played 21 minutes, he had a steal and a block with 8 points in, I won't say that's ideal. He's shown an ability more in the NBA to hit some threes. I don't think that that's a must-roster player. it's fine. Like, it's okay. The steals and blocks are there, but like, I'm not getting too excited about it. But what I want to pay attention a little bit to here is the cockroach. You know that Mason Plumlee will never die. And Jusuf Nurkic came into this game with ankle soreness. They said he was right to go, and then they ruled him out in the first half with ankle soreness. So I would expect that maybe a game or two off for Nurk. Nurk went scoreless and missed all 4 of his shots. Of course he did. While Plumlee had 6, 11, and 6. And if Mason Plumlee plays 29 minutes, he is a 12-team league player. Simple as that. And if Nurkic is missing, then we roster Plumlee. Tyus Jones played 40 minutes. He stepped up with, like, in a huge way. 22, 2 and 4, 2 steals and 6 threes. Probably his best game of the year. And with Durant out, he's probably going to do more. While we'll talk Beal in a sec. Booker had 23 with 12 assists, and Beal 28, 8 and 2. Good to see Beal ramp that usage up with Durant out, but he did hurt his leg late in this game. DeRozan landed on it, sort of buckled up. Now he played through it, but I imagine that that'll get sore and that'll appear on the injury report. And then if he is out, then we get interesting stuff. If you added Royce O'Neal, and I know many of you did it with Durant out, you might look at this and go, why did I do it? And here is what I need to tell you. Don't drop him. He played 28 minutes. 9 rebounds, 2 threes, 1 steal, 1 block, and importantly, he took 14 shots. Now, they didn't go in. He was at 21%, but he's not a 21% shooter. And if we get a regular night of shooting, well, you got 3 of 14 here. Let's say he goes 6 of 14. Let's add 7 points onto his total. Let's make it 15 and 9, 2 threes. Let's say 15 and 9, 3 threes, steal and a block. And you'd be going, I'm the best. I'm the GOAT. I cooked. What an unbelievable ad. So do not drop Royce O'Neal. This game only further strengthens my resolve. It strengthens my resolve to say that you add him now. I would add him over Dunn. This is a huge positive sign for him. And now Nurk is hurt and Beal got hurt. We can get some weird stuff going on here. Grayson Allen didn't really do much. He also shot a lot of time. So if you added Allen, I wouldn't be totally discouraged. He hit 3 threes. That's what you wanted. And he took 13 shots and shot 23% and played 27 minutes. That's a little bit interesting. All right, let's do the next one. Dallas and Denver. The Mavericks running out the same starting lineup, but it's not enough to get past the Nuggets. 122-120, Denver wins. Kyrie was unbelievable. 43 points with 6 threes on 77%. Now, that obviously is not going to hold, but he's been very, very good. 1 steal, 1 block, and 6 threes. While Luka, who was questionable heading into this game, was fine. 24, 9, and 9, but bad on the free throws again. Subpar on the field goals, and he has definitely not lived up to where you drafted him yet. I think he'll be fine. Don't worry about it. 34 minutes for Dan Gafford. You don't normally see that. 16 and 7, 2 steals, 2 blocks. Of course, PJ and Lively are out, but this is going to be a huge boost to Gafford's performance, at least intermittently here. While Najee Marshall was solid enough, 11 and 8 in 36, and he's at least worth streaming, especially this week with the Mavericks schedule. You probably just want to go and add Najee anyway. Klay Thompson, can he get... Oh, no, he can't. 10, 5, and 4 on 31% shooting. I have no problem with this.
Get that garbage out of here!
And then Dwighty Powell had 5 points. The old Dallas cockroach gets something cracking. Not a lot else going on there except for that. Oh, actually, you know what? For Klay, you can drop him spiritually. Maybe hold because of the schedule. Usually when I'm jacking guys, right, it's all about what am I talking about long term when we're valuing a player? How do we see it? Do you move on? Are they guys to hold on to? That's what I'm talking about. That requires clarification because obviously short term, the 3 quality games this week, it's only matched by Utah. So that gives you an advantage. But long term, nah, absolutely not. We don't care. We're not holding on to Klay in any sort of long-term scenario or viewing him in that way. Unless, he does something to change our minds, which I don't think is happening at this point. The Denver side of things. What about Big Chungus? Nikola Jokic, 37, 18, and 15. 3 steals, 3 threes. He has been dominating. Absolutely dominating so far this season. I worry about these minutes. They are absolutely gigantic. I hope it doesn't lead to anything, but he's cooking at the moment. While Michael Ponder had 17, 7, and 4, and 2 blocks. And Peyton Watson played 40 minutes. 16 and 5 with 4 threes and a block. Now, Watson and the rest of the Nuggets, we won't see him till Friday. I don't think I would drop Watson. Now, that is it's honestly just going to depend on you. Do you desperately need to get somebody in on Monday, Tuesday, Thursday? Do you need to use that to stream? Do you? And is Watson your worst player? Yes, it is not ideal that they don't play. But I think that Peyton Watson can run top 90 here. Maybe. Run top 90, for the next 3 weeks. And I'm not sure I would drop that player just because of a bad schedule to start the week. Like, would you drop Michael Porter Jr., who's probably top 90 over the next 3 weeks as well? Probably not. Obviously, that lasts longer, right? But I think I would hold Watson. Christian Brown, not his best, but still pretty good. 14, 6, and 2 with no defensive stats, while the headmaster struggled with his shot from the field and the line. Jamal Murray, 18, 2, and 6. And the buy low is still in play for him. Julian Strawther, 23 minutes. That's not going to be enough, and you're definitely not holding on to that despite the fact that he got 2 blocks. That does not play in terms of holding with 4 games off, unless we're talking like 20-teamers, and obviously we are jacking Russ Westbrook. With Murray back, he can go.
Get that garbage out of here.
Westbrook played 20 minutes. He had 6, 4, and 5. He shot poorly. He didn't attempt a free throw, which is actually a W. And I think we're there with him. That's it. Let's do the next one. The Memphis Grizzlies, big win, easy win in the end over the Portland Trail Blazers. Final score here in this one was, 134-89. We'll talk about the Portland side of that in a sec. We'll start with Memphis and Jake LaRavia. 23 minutes, 18, 4, and 2, 3 steals and 3 blocks, and shot unbelievably. He's been putting up some really strong numbers, and honestly, at the moment, he is worth a 12-team look. Now, Marcus Smart might return in the next game, and that could have an impact on a number of different guys, but LaRavia's consistently putting up good numbers. We only got 21 minutes out of Scottie Pippen, but again, this game was over immediately. 17, 4, and 2 for Pippen, while Jalen Wells had 16, 3, and 1, which is a streamable sort of a number as well. And old mate Jay Huff really cooked in garbage time. 6 blocks. 12 points, 20 minutes, I would ignore it still. Again, that's great. It's very hard to have a consistent value playing 15 minutes a night, and this is one of those real outlier games. We got bigger minutes out of Zach Edey, and he did a lot of good stuff. 12 and 6 with 3 steals and a block on 71%. Strong. You can roster him. I don't think he's going to be anything more than a back-end player, but that's okay as well. And Santi Aldama had 16, 6, and 6, and Jaren had 20 and 7 with 3 steals. Honestly, everyone just put up big numbers, and that's what happens when you win by 50 points. It's hard to read a huge amount out of this game just because of the way the minutes are split, the way this game was non-competitive for most of it. Like, Luke Kennard got 11 assists. Like, what's going on there? Really hard to sort of gauge much out of this entire game. We got 7 Colin Castleton minutes, if that explains anything to you. What we do need to discuss, though, I think, is Portland. And, I don't think that Chauncey Billups was the right coach for this team to begin with when he was hired. It made no sense at the time. He has never shown me one single thing to suggest that he's been a good coach or that he has improved as a coach or anything along those lines. So why is he still here? They're not improving. They're not getting better. Nothing's going on. It makes no sense. Continual embarrassment on this team. What they did do, though, is they changed their starting lineup, and it was Shaedon Sharpe who started. And Denny Avdia came off the bench. When Denny was traded to this team, I was obviously skeptical of who he is as a player, but also about what their lineup would be, because there were just too many different guys. And I actually didn't know whether they would do it or not, but they did. They benched him. Avdia played 13 minutes. He went scoreless. He had 4 assists, and you do not need to roster Denny Avdia.
Get that garbage out of here.
As for Shaedon Sharpe, 7 points, 30% shooting, 19 minutes. Now, obviously, it's a weird game. It's a blowout. Simons played 19 minutes as well. Someone said that my take on Shaedon Sharpe was so horrible the other day. All I said is that Shaedon Sharpe does not have a strong fantasy profile for his game. That's all I said. He's a points and threes guy, but I don't know what more else is coming for him, and I don't know how good he's actually going to be this season. All right? I think that's relatively fair. If you disagree with it, all good. You might think that he's got this robust game and he's the next Luka Doncic. He's not, but you might think that. The numbers here are terrible, clearly, but so is everybody on this team. So again, we're throwing most of this out, apart from the fact that Denny came off the bench. Klingon got a little bit of extra run, 13 and 3. Ayton, the Snowman, had 6 and 8. That's 2 21-minute games. Sorry, that's not true. 19 last game. Again, what does this game mean? Probably nothing. While Rob Williams, who was great last game, had 4 points in 11 minutes. Again, we don't roster him in 12-team leagues. What else do we get out of this? Honestly, Simons had 4 points. Scoot had 5 in 26 with 8 assists. I don't think he's a must-roster guy. Kamara had 9 points with a steal. Just a disaster of a game by a disaster of a coach and a really poor roster. They're bad. They're better than this, but nothing makes sense for them at the moment. So again, throw most of this out. Don't be too worried about Ayton. I don't think Kamara is going to be a long-term guy. You know that. Jeremy Grant still did his thing, 20 and 1 with 1 assist. Simons was bad. Sharpe was bad. Avdia was worse. Scoot was bad. everyone was bad. And my evaluations of this team don't really change based on this game. All right, let's do this. Let's do this final game of the day. We've got the Toronto Raptors taking on the Los Angeles Lakers. The Lakers win it by 20, 123-103 is the final score. Don't know why I paused on that so much, but whatever. Sometimes we just got to take a little bit of a beat to gather ourselves. On Toronto side of things, still no Barnes, Malik, Brown, Jacoby Walter, but the big fella Ochai Agbaji continued to play really well. Now, low usage in this game, but 16 and 6 with 4 threes is strong, and he remains a 12-team league guy. I don't think it holds, but he has been unbelievably good so far this season. Jakob Poeltl had 14 and 10 with no blocks, and that's what you want him for, but otherwise not bad. Well, the wiki Chris Boucher. I don't want to have to do this. I don't want to have to get back into the Boucher business. I'm not going to, but I don't want to be forced to. 18, 5 and 3 with 2 threes in 20 minutes is very clearly a playable line. I'm not adding him. If it happens again, though, we have to start having a discussion about that. While the prestige penis grade A Dick played 33 minutes, he had 14, 1 and 3 with 2 threes, and Emmanuel Quickley is back, and Rowan Barrett is back, and Dick is shrinking back to a maybe waiver wire role. I wouldn't drop him yet, but we are very close to doing it. RJ Barrett had 18, 7 and 4. This is a Knicks RJ Barrett line, 33% shooting, no defensive stats. He has been pretty good so far this season. I wouldn't be too bothered by that. I hope the field goal percentage doesn't revert. We watch it. And then second game for Quickley, obviously shot horrible. 27%. He had 12, 1 and 4. It's just good at his back, honestly. And now we can go and pretty safely, I would say, move on from Davion Mitchell.
Get that garbage out of here.
Now that Quickley's back, Mitchell had 2 points in his 19 minutes. Not much else going on that side of the ledger. Let's move to the other side. On the Lakers side of things, there was no change to their starting lineup. They're still, for some God knows what reason, starting Cam Reddish. Reddish had a steal, and that's the only reason you use him, 29 minutes, 11 points. And that means we got to look at what happened to D'Angelo Russell, who played 27 minutes. 15, 2 and 1. He's like, it's passable. I'm not willing to drop Russell yet. I believe that he's not been a good player for many years, as you're well aware. And every time I think that they're ready to move on, they bring him back and he explodes. So I am holding for now, but it is not good signs. Speaking of not good, Anthony Davis got poked in the eye and did not return. We hope that that's all right. We hope that it's nothing long-term. I think they've got a few days off now. He had 22, 4 and 3 with 2 blocks on 75% shooting before he got poked in the eye. Hopefully everything's all right. He might have to wear goggles or something along those lines. But yeah, like not ideal. We'll see where we go. Another triple-double for LeBron. 19, 10, and 16. Bad shooting, but perfect from the line in 35 minutes. The big fella keeps going while Austin Reeves' breakout continues. 27, 1, and 6 in 33 minutes. Rui Hachimura, whatever he is doing is the opposite of a breakout.
Get that garbage out of here.
Thanks, John. The falseness of his early season games has been brought clearly into focus. 4 points, 5 rebounds, 18%. He will be better than that. As much as I might hate Rui, he is better than that. He had 2 steals and a block, but that's 14-team league sort of a stuff. While Max Christie out of the rotation, which is pretty wild, and Dalton Connect still rostered in too many leagues, 5 points in 15 minutes for him. Jackson Hayes would be the ad if Davis is out, but it's not a high priority one. 12 and 6 for him in 21 minutes with a block. That's the games. All 11 of them, as I just adjust myself in my chair. Let's go and let's give out some awards. Let's go through and do the monstrous. Yeah, let's do the monstrous line of the night right now. And I am very certain you know who the monstrous line of the night is going to. It is, of course, Big Chungus Nikola Jokic, 37 points, 18 rebounds, and 15 assists. Your waiver wire line of the night. This is one of those ones where it was great and he's been pretty good, but we're throwing most of that game out. We're going to Jake LaRavia from Memphis, who had 18 and 4, 2 assists, 3 steals, and 3 blocks. Your young gun of the night, the best performance from a first or second year player. This one goes to Bilal Coulibaly, 20 and 6 with 6 assists, 1 steal, and 3 blocks. Another elite shooting performance from Coulibaly, who's really had a fantastic start to his second year in the league. And the dud of the night, well, we're going to go back to that game that doesn't really matter in terms of evaluation. Well, it matters for the Blazers because maybe this is a turning point and getting a proper coach in there. We'll find out. But Anthony Simons had 4, 1, and 1 in that absolute disaster embarrassment. I feel like Portland has been beaten by Memphis by like 60 points 3 times. They didn't lose by 60 today, but it was close enough. It's been a lot of smackings that they've been copping. Let's go through now and take a look at the top 6 performers across the many categories that we do on this show. Where are we going here? I'm trying to find the right thing. Yep, let's look at the top 6 category league players for today. Number 1, of course, was Nikola Jokic, followed by Kyrie Irving, Giannis Antetokounmpo, Benedict Mathurin, Tyrese Halliburton, and Steph Curry. Your top 6 waiver wire players. Number 1 was Jake LaRavia, followed by Kevin Huerter, worth an ad. DeAnthony Melton, worth an ad. Jay Huff, probably not. Grant Williams, worth an ad. And then at number 6, somehow Darvin Ham hacked the system and put Taurean Prince in there at number 6. Your top 6 Yahoo Points League players for the day. Nikola Jokic, Giannis Antetokounmpo, Tyrese Halliburton, Kyrie Irving, Steph Curry, and LeBron James. And your top 6 ESPN Points Leagues contributors for the day. Similar names: Jokic, Irving, Giannis, Halliburton, Steph Curry, and Benedict Mathurin. All right, now we do our little weekly check-in on my leagues and industry pickup to see how all that went down. So let's go and let's bring it in. Let's check how it all went on industry pickup. Again, I am checking these for the first time. Oh, yeah, we got the win on industry pickup against Alex Burns, 5-4. Good win, even though I somehow still had Trey Mann. We've got to move on from him, but a big game from Daniel Gafford got me there in the end, so happy with that. The other results, Mitch Casey sneaked through against Karan Talwar, 5-4. I've got Mitch next week. Fantasy Trash Talk, Jacob beat Joel Bartolotta 7-2. Angle Fantasy Basketball beat Josh and Evan from Point Made, and Sam and Liam from Point Made lost to Kingy 5-4, while Willie from ETR beat Roto Kyle MBA, Kyle McEwen 6-3. They are your final scores there. Let's have a quick check in the standings. Where am I there? I have moved up to 9th. All right, we're moving up. So Jacob's at the top, followed by Angle, Joel Bartolotta, Josh and Evan, Kingy, Willie from ETR, Karan, then Mitch and me with the exact same record, same as Alex Burns and same as Sam and Liam. We're all 12 and 15, and then Kyle is on the bottom at 9 and 18. Really been tight and competitive. That draft was really competitive as well. Let's take a look at my other auction draft that I posted on the site, where I got smashed this week, 2-7 by Heleno Dikai. My team in this one has got 6 injured players that just copped it really hard from this auction draft. Zion Williamson, Jeremy Sohan, Tyrese Maxey, Kyle Kuzma. I drafted Chris Middleton knowing he was injured, obviously, and then Miles Bridges. So yeah, I'm in real strife of being able to compete in that one. I'm sort of in the middle of the pack in that league. Let's take a look at my FBI World Cup team. I lost at 5-4. I thought I was going to get that. So a 5-4 narrow loss there. The Kingy head-to-head Roto Trial League, I think I did really well here, yeah. 6-3, 8-1, 6-2-1, 5-4, 4-5, 3-6, 4-5, 6-3, 7-2. Big wins across the board. I think I'm at the top of the standings in that league. Yes, I am at 19 and 8, so I'm winning that league, so that's a W there. Let's go through to the Locked On Fantasy Basketball Draft and Stash. Find out where I'm positioned in that league. Where am I ranked in that league? 97th, so middle of the pack in that one. That's a season-long Roto. It's hard to sort of judge with Roto this early on. We'll go to the Locked On Fantasy Basketball Roto. I'm 11th, but I am well down on games played by design. Let's go to Locked On Fantasy Basketball Bowl 9-category league, and I think I did the mythical in this week. Yeah, I did that. I 9-0'd this guy, and we both played 40 games. The GOAT got goated by me, 9-0. And then in the other matchup, I was a 7-2. So that's a huge, huge week for me to pull off the 2 matchups, 16-2. Very happy with that. And in the Locked On Fantasy Basketball Bowl Points League division, how did I go in that one? As it loads, I think I was I split them. I won 11-20 to 10-82, and I lost the other one 12-08 to 11-20. Close. Split the results. I'm okay with that. All right. That is the end of the show now. Go ahead and you can tell me your results down in the comments if you so choose. But what is important is you go and hit the subscribe button, the thumbs up, the comments, all of that stuff. Guys, we are done here. Thank you so much for listening, everyone. See ya.